I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. So just the first thing, I went to the open meeting class last week, and lots of interesting things, and we'll probably have to modify some of the wording we use at times. But one of the things they mentioned is that we have to announce at the meeting that the meeting's being videotaped, so anyone in the audience is aware of it.
Do you have to announce that even if there's nobody in the audience?
Well, everyone on TV thinks this is crowded. I don't know, but they recommended that be said at the beginning of each meeting. And if someone came in with a camera to videotape, they would have, we would have to allow it, but we would have to tell them, make an announcement that someone's in the audience is videotaping the proceedings.
Could we not allow it?
I don't think so.
No, you have to allow them to videotape it.
You just have to make an announcement to everyone.
No, they can't do, if we go on executive session or something like that.
Yeah, it was a good thing. So let's go to the approval of minutes of September 23rd, 2019.
Did you call this meeting to order yet?
Didn't I call it to order at 7 o'clock and do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, well, you said you were gonna do, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you just said, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I must have missed it. Okay. Sorry.
I called the meeting to order.
At 7 o'clock, you did.
Okay. Since we're in order now in the meeting, I make a motion, have someone entertain a motion to approve the minutes of September 23rd, 2019. By David, second. Okay. By Paul, Kevin. I always do that. Anyone have any amendments to it or any changes? Okay.
September 23rd. I don't think we got that one. I got the September 9th. Was I absent on September 23rd?
September 9th is what got sent out.
Oh, is it?
It's September 9th.
It's the meeting of
Approval of
September
minutes
9th.
of September 9th.
Okay. In the agenda, it had the 23rd. So let's, do you want to change your motion to?
Change your motion to approve the minutes of September 9th, 2019.
Okay, Kevin seconded it. Okay, there weren't any changes, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? You want to vote on the minutes? Aye. And 5 in favor, no opposed, no abstains, abstentions, it passes. Okay, public participation. We don't see any, we'll go into the Director of Parks and Recreation report.
Thank you. First item I have, the week of September 23rd, we had Wildwood and Upper Rohannes Field top-dressed, aerated and overseeded for the fall. These fields were the only ones scheduled for top dressing. The rest of our fields, including Simons, Veterans, Regan, were all aerated and overseeded. And all of the fields have been fertilized as of October 24th, so last week. And we are planning to overseed one more time if weather permits, just so we get a extra dose of seed out there for anything early spring growth. So we are excited about that, and we'll also be out there working on the goal mouse on the soccer fields where they see a lot of action and wear and tear. We're getting great results with the seeding and the aerating. The fields really, we were out at Simons Park this weekend for the Spooktacular, and the outfields are really tremendous. And you know, we had upwards of 2,500 people there walking all over the fields, and they look great at the end of the night. And I was back there today, and they look, you know, really, really good. So we're getting good positive results, getting great growth. on Regan and Veterans. They were, you know, upwards of 75% weeds. We got rid of the weeds at the end of the season, and then the overseeding and fertilizing. The fertilizer will just, you know, promote that seed to grow along with the precipitation we've been getting. The cooler nights and, you know, semi-warm days that we get is really, it's really starting to show. So we're very happy with the results we're getting to this point.
Anyone have any comments on that?
I think they look great. I went by all the fields over the last week, and it's made a huge difference. So I think what we're doing is working, and I think we're on the right path.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. They're awesome. Simon's Park was incredible. It was like Fenway Park. The grass was so lush.
Yeah.
Rahanis Park, it's grass now,
Yeah.
no weeds. And it's a little matted down, but you're playing on it, and it's still in really good shape, and Wildwood looks great too. So thank you.
It does, and the guys have been great. You know, we're getting out there, cutting the fields, you know, end of the summer and into the early fall, twice a week. You know, had the blades at the correct height. We've had the water on the appropriate amount. Dial it back if we're getting, you know, some heavy rains or a couple days of rain. So it's really starting to show, and the guys have been doing their part with it as well. So it's working out.
So in the future, this is probably a rich question. Are we gonna designate a couple of people to be in charge of the fertilization so it stays on track? And
Yeah, we need to, well, there's gonna be some training, there's gonna be some training going forward with Irwin Company, and then we'll dial in on somebody to focus on it.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
And, you know, just if you need, for the budget next year, if we need more money to keep it going, I would support it.
We're starting to get into that now, and looking at the planning calendars that they put out, we'll have a good idea of cost. Our goal is to bring everything in-house, you know, and have our guys, provide our guys with the training to be able to go out and do it, and having that point person that says, all right, you know, this third week in August, we need to get out there and put out the, you know, weed control. And at this point, if we stay on top of the aeration and fertilization and watering, you know, there's not gonna be much room for weeds to grow in. But when we do get bare spots, you know, we need to stay on top of that and you know, prevent it from having crabgrass and you know, the broadleaf stuff grow in. You know, get it aerated, get it seeded, and keep it watered. So hopefully moving forward, we won't see any of the issues that have crept up in the past.
Excellent, thank you.
The Simons Park lighting project, before we headed off to the conference, they had started the project. They removed all the poles and had started putting in the foundation bases for some of the poles. While we were at the conference, apparently one of the foreman on the job had hurt his back, so they only worked 2 days that week, so they got a little bit behind. And we're making up time recently. We're setting the last pole Thursday, and they caught they did it on Tuesday. They caught one of the lights in the rigging and snapped it off the cross arm. The company is obviously making good on it, the contractor. The light is due in, FedExed in tomorrow, and they have a new crane, a larger crane to install this last pole. This is the center pole that's between the upper courts and lower courts, and they plan on installing that on Wednesday. They've run all the wires to all the poles and back to the main building, so we should have lights by the end of the week. there'll be some adjustments after that. Musco will come out and they'll do readings and make sure that they're exactly what they should be. But it is moving forward a little slower than we had hoped. But they are, the company's been responsive to any request, and they've kept the courts protected, you know, because we did redo them last year. They put down thick, I think it's 1-inch plywood. It's pretty good stuff. They didn't cheap out on thin stuff, and they protected the courts. They've kept the area clear and clean. You know, I've had to remind them a couple times, make sure you get everything cleaned up at the end of the day. They came in on a day they were scheduled to not be there to clean up after I had talked to them. For the most part, like I said, they've done a good job. They just got a little behind. And we should have lights by the end of the week. So, and then they'll make some adjustments. And I have a contractor coming in to grub, which is just pulling out all the scrub that started to grow back after we cleaned it up, but going down to the roots and pulling that out and grading that area beyond the pickleball and tennis ball courts. I'm not gonna put up the screens until the springtime. I don't wanna put them up and have them blow around all winter, but we'll put up some privacy screens. Found them in a couple different places, and actually Amazon, I think, was
Cheapest price.
the least expensive price. So we're looking at 230.
30-something, 36 or something.
So we'll get those up. We'll get them in before the spring and have them ready to go. Just want to clear the winter and the winds and all that, and we'll put them in. The next, yep.
Any comments? No. Okay.
The next thing, at Marvin Field, a recent trip through there, we found some piles of debris that have been dumped by a construction company. They contained earth and large stones, some brick, and then some pieces of sidewalk. So we've put the lockdown on the gates there. The youth soccer and has been using the fields for their Challenger program. They have a key, but they haven't been using the lights because of their own internal closing early due to Triple E threat. So they've taken that upon themselves to end practices by 7 o'clock. So they're not out after dark. And so they really haven't been using the field at night, but they do have a key. We're looking at a camera system that we can mount to the poles that's battery powered and can go via Wi-Fi. I'm just trying to nail down, I'm working with the school department, with Bob Kuna, his camera person, to see the best fit for there. But what that will entail is the cameras being mounted, they're motion activated, so they store up to 7 days at a time in them, and we can download it from a phone, a desktop, wherever. And really, we keep the gates locked in the winter anyways, so they'll be on from April to November timeframe anyways. But the cameras, technology's come a long way, so the Wi-Fi stuff would be a monthly fee depending on the plan we get. But it'd be well worth it for the extra protection there. We've always had dumping of, people maybe remodeling a bathroom and you find a toilet and maybe a vanity in there. Old furniture, someone, gets rid of a dining room table or something. But this is a little bit beyond that. Someone scouted out the location and came, and they backed it into the bamboo stuff that's growing on the edge of the parking lot and dumped it in there, so not too happy with that, but hopefully we can get some coverage in there and get it taken care of, keep a better eye on it.
So if we remove the debris?
No, it's still there.
It's still there, we'll probably have to sort through it, and pile up the rocks, and keep the loomy stuff out of there. We can probably keep that up there and on the edge of the parking lot. But it's the it's chunks of concrete and stuff. Well, we can get a price to get it removed, but it's not gonna be cheap, I don't think.
Okay. Have we called the police?
They called us last week. We had found it and someone had noticed it, so they're aware.
Okay.
So while we're on Marvin Field, we have been discussing the title there and who owns the property. We heard back from town council on the title search that they had done on the property. And so upon the death of Mary Cummings in December 23rd, 1927, she deeded the property to the city of Boston in a trust for recreational purposes, which we all knew that Marvin Field area was part of that, and Rotary. But in 1954, the United States took the property for the Nike site missile system. And then in 1964, the town, through the Park and Rec Commission, took all of the land except for what is now Rotary Field. And in 1975, the United States conveyed that parcel back to the town. So we own Marvin Field, the parking lot area going down in between, and some area beyond Rotary, in the woods. That's all town of Burlington property. And then in 1975, when the government was done with that Rotary area, they conveyed that back to us, and that came through the Land to Parks Act. And we have a sign down on Rotary Field that states that. It was something that came up a few years ago. They asked us to do a report. They had no idea what it was, and the last report that was done was back in like 1992. So they said every couple of years we have to have a report to make sure the land is still being used for what we conveyed it to the town, as a park. So it is the opinion of town council that Marvin Field is in fact owned by the town, and they can do a little further not title search, what did she call it? Town council. They can dig a little more into it and work with the city of Boston back to that time and say, hey, this is what we have, this is what our title search found, do you guys agree or not agree? So I just need to get the approval of town administrator, Paul Sagarino, on that, if he'll approve town council taking that final step, but in her opinion, it is, we own that property there, so.
That's great,
Yeah.
because what's the?
Friends of Mary Cummings?
Yeah.
Oh, the trustees.
The trustees of the reservation had that as their property in one of the slides.
Right, and I don't think they want to do anything with that property, and I think that's where the Friends of Mary P.C. Cummings want to make sure that they're not going to impose any kind of restriction down onto the Marvin Field area, but per town council, they feel that we, in their opinion, we own that property. So, and I think maybe they couldn't find any listing of the town taking that because they were looking from the trust, right? But really, the government had already taken it from the trust. We got it from the government. And that's why they maybe weren't finding the listing. But we have the entire listing here from the Registry of Deeds. So we're pretty confident. And I have a meeting with Mr. Sagarino later this week, and there'll be a topic that I discuss with him about just doing that final crossing the Ts, dotting the Is.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So
I keep on looking over, I feel bad, I'm looking over here. If you guys have something, just step up. Okay? Same on this side.
Yep, my next thing I have on here is the Park and Rec Maintenance DPW building update, but I'm gonna leave that to Dave for later, because he was at the meeting today. Capital planning, the program division recently met to go over the 10-year capital plan and prioritize our needs for the upcoming fiscal year and the years ahead. Still finalizing, putting things into years for that. And then the maintenance division will be meeting soon to review and prioritize their needs. And I will present that. My plan is in December to present those, so ahead of the budget season, and then we can have further discussion. I think in the past we've met to go over things, and we'd like to do that again this year.
So on the capital planning, can you send it out a meeting before you want to vote?
Yes.
So that we can discuss it on one meeting, and then if it gets revised, it can get voted the next meeting?
Yep.
You know, I'd like to see sprinkler systems at Center School. I don't know if that lines up with anything, you know, for the program and the maintenance side, but just so it's not a all or nothing vote on it, one shot, one meeting.
Sure.
Anyone else like that? Okay.
All right, the next thing, I wanted to thank you again for sending Kelly and I to the NRPA conference in Baltimore. I don't know if anyone had a chance to watch the Kelly's filming of the event and on Facebook Live, but we had some small technical difficulties with our presentation. The PowerPoint froze, the laptop they provided there, but we were able to overcome them, I think, and provide you know, the information that we have been prepared to present. And we received some positive feedback from the participants of the session, and between Kelly and I, we both received a number of follow-up emails looking for more information on the programming. And you know, it was broadcast, you know, Kelly did it for our website, our Facebook page, but it was also part of NRPA's sessions that they put out online. So it was good. The room had 175 people in it or so, maybe a little more, and it was good. It was you know, it was a good opportunity for us to promote our programs across a larger platform than just Burlington or the region. And we felt we got some good feedback. And the conference overall was tremendous. What you get, you know, the professional development there is incredible. There's some good stuff regionally, but when you get to a national level, you see that people are going through some of the same things in different parts of the country, but you also get to see how other parts of the country, how their departments are set up and organized. And you know, when they talk about having their own IT staff in their department and their own marketing staff, and you're like, wow, we do that, you know, our staff does all of those things, and oh, we send that to our marketing team. Oh, I send it to our marketing team too. And Kelly says, why am I getting something else? No, you know, the departments, when you get to the middle of the country and then towards the West Coast, they're a lot bigger, and a lot of them are regional county departments. So, you know, they have aquatic facilities with lazy rivers and water slides and stuff in them. It's kind of fun to see. But so, anyways, we thank you for agreeing to send us.
I saw your presentation. It was excellent. And I was amazed at all the people that listened to you.
I know. You didn't get up and leave? Thanks.
No, it was a great presentation. I don't know, I've never heard of anyone in Burlington ever make a presentation in a national convention like that. That's a first, and to hear people at the conference so interested in what you were doing, it's a credit to you guys, both of you.
Thank you.
All of you in programming.
Good job.
Can I just add, because part of my
I'll recognize
report
you
was,
because-
thank you. So, as you probably read, we received feedback from NRPA regarding the evaluations of the session themselves. And I just wanted to point out that, you know, the speaker ratings for the session were higher than the average for NRPA as a whole. And there was a lot of great comments. As Brendan said, both of us have received emails and phone calls regarding our programs and how we do them, and how people could offer them in their own communities. And I've included some of the comments in my report for you guys to see as well. But some of the comments were great to have ideas that anyone can implement, so simple, thanks. Burlington Parks and Rec has done some cool programs that really got the community involved. I would like to try similar programs. This was great, so creative. We're always looking for high impact, low cost ideas for programming, and this was awesome. Extremely useful information I'm taking back to use and share with my staff. And we know that people really did do that, because 3 of the phone calls that I got said, my boss was at the session, like, tell me how I can run programming like you guys. And my favorite part of people's comments at the session was the woman who you may or may not have seen, because I might have stopped it before it happened, but she came up and said that she had been following the Burlington Parks and Rec
Stalking.
Department. Stalking, she said stalking. She said stalking.
Made me nervous.
For the last couple years, since we started to do our 50th anniversary celebration. She was experiencing one in her community this upcoming year, so she was looking at what we were doing to model her program after. So I do think that's a credit to Brendan and our department as a whole, as far as allowing program staff to be creative and do these off-the-wall kind of small programming. So I would also like to say thank you for letting us go, but to be part of the session on a national level was pretty amazing.
Kelly didn't share with you. Kelly and Jesse both played a large role in the, preparing the information, and I was just the mouthpiece. But she didn't share her favorite comment with you, which may have been, great presentation. Next time, bring your program staff too, or something. Let your program staff come too.
Yep.
They didn't know Kelly was there, to represent, but also to film. So, it was nice. The comments were nice. Thank you for including that. But, Kelly and Jesse both played a larger role than probably I did as the mouthpiece. But I was glad to be able to present that and show off Burlington Parks and Recreation. So.
Did you do the PowerPoint?
Actually,
Brendan.
did I do? No. I'm not going to say who put the PowerPoint together.
I'm just teasing.
But they
Rich.
are not in this
No.
room.
Rich, no.
I'm just teasing.
I know, but we ran it on a Mac. We ran it on a Surface, and then it froze once before the session started, and it started a little late, and then it was working and got to that second slide. So the video that was on there of the family that participated in the Hoppa Park Day was great, and we had cut it down from 8 minutes to like 2. We were so excited because it really would have showed the excitement on the kids' face, the family's face, having a good time out on a Saturday, cruising around, going to different parks and enjoying themselves. And that's what we want with the pop-up programming, is families out there enjoying themselves in our parks, having a good time. So,
What Brendan's not telling you is that
No.
as part of the conference app, all of his slides were located on the app. So people were able to follow along in the room. So they were able to see the slides and kind of see, what was going on. They didn't get to see it when it was recorded as a live session, right? But if they logged into the app, they were able to follow along as well. So we did experience technical difficulties. I was in
I was just teasing
a
Brendan.
few sessions. There was a few sessions that I had that experienced technical difficulties. I'm not sure what was happening there, but overall, I think that people were able to follow along for sure.
Okay, one last question. On the conference, what did you bring back that we're going to do next year?
well, the new program idea, human composting. That is a thing for the future, Kevin. Human composting.
I'd have to abstain from that vote.
No, there was a good session, and actually they ran it twice, and Kelly was able to see it once, and I saw it, and it was new trends in programming or whatever, trends for 2020, trends for,
Yeah, and beyond.
and one of the items was the use of drones for park security purposes. In Las Vegas, because of the events that happened there last year, they received some good grant monies from the government. And one of the things they have in their parks, they have scanners that, count the people coming in, going from their parks and public places, but they also have drone stands, and they can use it for security purposes. If they get a call that there's a disturbance in the park, they can dispatch the drone from its perch, and it can go and survey the area before they can respond, but it also can set it like once an hour to go up and do a sweep of the park and take pictures and bring it back. So it's, some safety measures that can go in. You know, we're in a pretty technologically savvy area and advanced area, you know, who knows if that's something that, you know, would be a benefit for us, just even on the town common for events, although when we did the drone a couple of years ago for Celebrate Burlington, we got some feedback, but, you know, for security purposes, that might not be a bad thing, or, you know, the town common is wide open, there's no real way to secure it, you know, because there's so many entrance points, but that could be something that could be helpful. Ideas on, they did a lot more, would you say, urban, not urban areas, but city-type areas. They talked about those scooters, the e-scooters and stuff that are out there, that these companies like Lyft and Uber are behind these, and they'll come into a city and just drop 1,000 scooters all around without permission. They leave them there, people get hooked on them over a course of a couple weeks. The city responds and says, hey, where did these come from? And the companies come in and they're like, well, we could get rid of them if you want, but the outcry is, no, we love these things. They get us around. So they get them hooked without asking permission. So some of these type things.
Boston's actually was the first city to put a ban on them in any of their parks as well. So looking at how that might work for us internally.
And then also just connecting parks, connectivity and things like that. So, which is something that came up in our capital planning and was in the open space and recreation plan, just connecting our recreation area. How can we get, you know, from park to park without having to necessarily be on, you know, main roads? Can we do it through a trail system? Can we do it through easements or right of way with the electric company, things like that? So those are things we'll look at and talk about. There are some really good sessions on accessible parks. The head of accessibility for the New York City Parks Department came and presented, and it was awesome. And he even said, granted, we probably have more money to put into our parks than a lot of places. He said, but we look at each park and make small steps to make the entire park accessible. And he brought up just one, I'll share this, I know I'm getting long-winded, but at the Bronx Zoo, they talked about a path, a nature path that had a raised element and a ground level element. And they asked him to take a look at it, and he said, well, it doesn't work. There's only, 10% of it is accessible. And their goal, I think, do you remember what I told you? Was it 60% or 75%, something like that, accessible? He said, I couldn't do that trail. And he said, well, it's meant for kids. And he looked at him, kids can't be in a wheelchair or have a mobility issue. It's not just kids or adults, it's anybody with a disability, with a mobility issue. And they said, we never thought of it that way. So, we have to think of that when we make changes and we upgrade things, is making sure we're making it accessible, not just for children or just adults, but for everybody. So it's another good one.
Excellent. Okay, anything else for Brendan? I think you're done with your report, right?
I am.
Anyone have a question, comment? Okay.
Just a comment
Oh, yeah.
on that
Paul, go
sounding
right ahead.
silly about the using mulch and so forth. I just happened on Sunday to be talking to somebody, he's from North Carolina, and he's in the power industry. And he said, I don't know how it came up, that they are experimenting with and using commercially a mulch that they put down, because they have a lot of chicken farms down there, and they put some kind of mulch on that allows them to pick up the mulch all together and burn it as a power source. So there's some crazy stuff. That, and the bikes, I'm out around, and I see those green and other bikes all over the place. I mean, they're on the trails. People take them, and they just leave them on the trail. Yeah, and I guess other people pick them up, and I don't know whether you have to use your credit card or whatever to use them, but it sounded crazy to me at first, because I said, they'll all get stolen. But they're so distinctive, I guess, You
Yeah.
Well, they have to, the scooters have to be charged. I saw one night, a pickup truck must have had 50, 60 scooters, just piled them back because they collect them at night, go and charge them, and then re-deliver them back out to the streets. So, they have them, I think, on 3rd Ave, down in that area, right, down by Wegmans?
There's a big
Bikes,
article in
they
the
have
Globe
Bikes,
about
they
it
don't have the scooters.
Those are- Yeah.
the other day. And it's amazing how it works. They got GPS on them, you know, they just find them, they pick them up and say it works, but it's great.
Well, if you want a policy on no rented scooters, just put it on the agenda for a meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So let's, I put my piece of paper. Rich, Cody, let's do the Director of Parks and Recreation, no, that's the wrong one. The maintenance.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, I'm sorry. Superintendent of, what's your official title?
Park Superintendent.
Park Superintendent. Let me do it over. We're going to have Rich Cody, Park Superintendent, make his report.
Thank you.
That sounded so much more professional.
Great job. Starting off, we had 70 yards of fiber mulch delivered to Simons Park 2 weeks ago. We haven't been in a meeting for a while, so I'm going back a little bit. The majority of it was distributed at Simons Park in the playground. We also brought some to Wildwood. Just trying to, I mean, the whole plan this fall is trying to get ahead. You'll see in my report, trying to make some strides to get ahead so the spring isn't so crazy for us. So we, that was to put out replenishing the fiber mulch that's in the 2 playgrounds there. Along the driveway, I'm sorry, along the driveway at Simons Park, the highway department DPW put in a berm forest coming down to help out with the wash away and the erosion with heavy rains. So we backed that up with loom. It also was seeded and rolled. We'll get some grass growing in there, and hopefully that'll help out with that whole situation. It's been going on for years. It just, heavy rain, it washes right out down to the street. Back to this, we had 60 yards of clay delivered to Center School. Those fields were renovated with the vent track. The clay was added to the baseball and the softball field. Again, as I stated, we're trying to get a jump on springtime, because a lot of times in the spring, you can't get heavy trucks in and out to deliver the clay on the baseball fields. So we're trying to get it down this fall, that we can just go back in the spring with the small machines and just groom it for play. We're in the process, probably maybe 2/3 done, shutting down the irrigation systems in town, blowing out all the systems. We also removed the backflows in the meters for each location. Also, the daily activity is still going on. We're cutting grass every day still with the new fertilization program. It's growing like crazy. We're also lining soccer and football fields still, and the recycling and trash pickup is ongoing daily. We installed 2 memorial benches, one on the Common and one at Lower Simons. Brendan, I'm sorry, I don't have the names of the families that donated that wanted the benches. I don't have them with me.
Yeah, O'Neill is on the Common, and drawing a blank on the other one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had it written down at my desk and I left it there. I apologize. So we poured concrete pads and built the benches and put them in place on those 2 locations. September, October events on the Common, we prepared for the Diwali festival in Trucktober. 2 of the 2 of the events out there. There were others. Diwali was gigantic. I talked to the staff that worked the event, and they couldn't believe the number of people that were there. That was a huge event, and they were very happy. Also, Brennan already touched on the Musco lighting, the wading pool.
Oh, and the Musco lighting, when Do they come with a crane to adjust everything? Musco, because there's a light out on the field closest to the baseball field closest to the tennis courts. It's just because the
softball
lights were
field,
on this
We
weekend.
do know there, yes, so.
It's usually a percentage. There has to be a certain percent,
Yeah.
and then they send somebody out.
They will, but I talked to them, I'm gonna have this contractor take care of it. As long as they can get the equipment out on the field. I don't wanna put it out if it's too wet. So,
Okay, it happened to be out. You had all the lights on this weekend.
yep, there was one in the upper field too, so I think they were gonna do both.
Yep, sorry.
No, it's fine, it's fine. The Musco warranty is, they have like a rating percentage, a certain percentage of lights have to be out for them to come out and do it, which is, I think it's minimal. So we're testing holiday lights in preparation of hanging for the display on the common. Simon's Park was prepared by our staff for the spectacular. Extra picnic tables, barrels, and recycle bins were brought to the park. We also hung some orange holiday lights in the trees up at Simon's. The parking, the grass on Cambridge Street were lined for parking for the event. With everything going on in the parking lot, there isn't a lot of space up there for cars.
Okay, yeah, no, you did a great job with the parking lineup in Simon's Park for Spooktacular, because it was mobbed.
Yep.
Mike Judge did a great job getting everyone parking spaces. So, any questions, comments for Rich? Okay, Tom?
Just a question, I don't know if it's actually for Rich or for Brendan, but you mentioned that 2 memorial benches were installed on the Common in Simon's Park. Do you have an ongoing program for that? Is that something you kind of take it as it comes, or is that an official thing that people can do? Or?
No, we've never established a, set of guidelines. You have to be a resident for X number of years, a voting resident, a resident in good standing, there's no guidelines like that. When people approach, we usually discuss where are you looking, and, if there's something available at the park they're looking at, we try to do that. We try not to put it in areas that will be a maintenance problem, or, would be in the field of play, so to speak, or anything like that. Town Common, there's no policy there. I think we're done with the inner, that circle.
Inner ring.
Yeah. There's a lot of benches in there, and won't have room for any activities or walking around. So there's not really room there. We'd be looking at the spokes going out from there. There was.
Actually been trying to steer people more towards trees, and maybe not
replace.
benches, because
Right.
we have some trees that have to come down probably after lighting. This year, we'll take down some trees out there. We'll take advantage of hanging strings in them.
So it's kind of a case-by-case thing, and if people who are interested in that, they just contact the office?
Yes.
Usually do, yeah.
Yep, I just heard from someone recently, so. But yeah, and I heard from someone on a tree, I heard from someone on a bench. What we've also tried to do, I think when I first started, there was, 7 different styles of benches out there. We tried to narrow it down. I think we have 2
Lately, we've been
two,
pretty much
I
buying the
think,
same.
styles of benches, just so there's some uniformity to it, and it's not the Wild West, you can put up any bench you want, and,
Thanks.
But it's a considerable donation. It's over $1,000 for a bench.
Yeah, right now, a bench with a plaque, an 8-foot cedar recycled plastic bench, which is what's out there with the black wrought iron or black powder-coated steel legs, whatever style legs, or mounting legs. They're $1,526.25. So when you get into some different style benches, they can be upwards. The benches that we're putting at Wildwood, they're all like, they call it ribbon steel. They're the flat steel pieces, and they put a whole bunch together and looks like ribbons. They're close to $1,900. $30 300 or 400 of that is shipping because of the weight. So, and they come with the plaques.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Yeah, yeah, they are, and I think just being consistent, even when we go to other put them into other parks, the park should all have the same type of benches, just for the look.
Okay. Hey, Rich, someone took down a tree at TRW. I don't think,
I was gonna make the phone call today. I believe it was DPW. I'll give you a call tomorrow. I'll find out.
oh, no, that's
exactly.
fine. We just need to clean up the branch, little stuff.
Okay.
They did a pretty good job. They left the stump up.
Yeah, I don't know, actually Brendan and I talked about it today, and I was gonna make a phone call, and I never did. Apologize, but I'll find out.
Oh, no,
And we'll see
that's-
about the stump.
Yeah. It would just make that whole area look nicer.
Yep.
Okay. Program Coordinator Kelly Lehman.
So
Thank you,
as,
by the way. Sorry.
it's okay. You done?
Yeah.
So as most of you know, the fourth quarter for us is really our busiest season for special events. So I'm just going to run through the ones that we've had so far and kind of give you an update on the ones that are upcoming. So we had to cancel our fitness festival, unfortunately, due to a lack of class offerings. We thought we'd had a better response from our instructors, and we just didn't. So hopefully we'll be able to do something with that next year on the fitness court. Trucktober was held on October 5th at the Town Common, and we estimate there was 1,000 people throughout the day there. There was 5 different food trucks. The band Classic Tracks played. We had a cornhole tournament. We brought out all of our backyard games. It was a nice day down at the Common. The weather was great. I would like to thank Jesse for putting that event together and coordinating the day and with the Board of Health and the food trucks and whatnot. But it really was a nice day. This weekend, we held our annual Spooktacular event. Brendan kind of chatted about it a little bit. We had Halloween-themed games. We had pumpkin decorating, a haunted trail. We decorated some cookies. We had 2 inflatables and a buried alive truck, which was a scarier haunted house than what we typically do, which we have got some mixed reviews on. But overall, I think it was a great event. Lots of happy people, and that's really what we go for. Tickets for our Breakfast with Santa event will go on sale on Wednesday. Tickets are $15 and are limited to the first 175 people who want to purchase them. As far as upcoming events for the remainder of the year, we have 2 events on November 23rd, the 5K Turkey Trot and the Turkey Hunt itself. We have the tree lighting on December 7th. Breakfast with Santa will be on December 8th, and Calling Santa will be on December 10th and 11th.
Okay.
Can I move on?
You want to keep on going? Spooktacular was awesome.
It was good, right?
It was really impressive. The turnout was great.
Yeah, we had a lot of people. It was fun. The weather clearly played a part in that. It was a beautiful day on Saturday. So we lucked out there.
Compared to one year, there was a nor'easter.
There was.
Yeah, that was miserable.
That was awful.
Let's see, anyone for Kelly on the events? Okay.
Okay. Professional development, we kind of talked about NRPA already, so I am not going to talk about that. But on Friday, September 13th, our therapeutic recreation staff and myself attended the Abilities Expo at the Boston Convention Center. And the expo showcases all sorts of technologies and availabilities for people with disabilities. So there was several stations there to have your wheelchair tuned, or accessible vehicles put out by Toyota, or nope, pretty sure it was just Toyota that was there, or how you can rent a home using Airbnb if you have a disability, what you need to look for, and where you can find accessible information. Easter Sales was there. They had an accessible rock wall there. They did. We sat and watched pickleball for a little while inside, which was really fun. But you can see everything that we saw on our website. We have an interactive e-newsletter that Emma Jones, one of our rec therapists, put together. And you can see the different vendors that were there. You can see our staff trying some of the adaptive equipment out as well. And it really is it's a great opportunity to see what's out there as far as technologies are concerned and make some connections with some different people.
Excellent.
Good. Club 55, at the September meeting of Club 55, the executive board voted to change the name of Club 55 to Burlington's Club 50. They are looking to broaden offerings for the baby boomer age bracket who is not retired yet, but are still looking for active things to do. They're looking at adding some stuff on weekends and during nighttime hours to attract a younger demographic than what they currently have. So we will be working with them on that transition moving forward.
Great.
And my last thing is our program staff has been working on finalizing the information for the winter brochure. So we anticipate that registration for winter 2020 programs to start in mid-November.
All right, questions for Kelly? Okay, awesome. On chairman's report, just as I said earlier, going to that open space meeting, law meeting was fascinating. Some of the things, most of the things we're doing very well, but we have to just, subcommittees, we're gonna have to change that because a subcommittee is 2 or more people, and you need to take minutes. And the way we do things is a one-person representative. So, if anyone has any suggestions, we can still call it subcommittee, but it's not really a subcommittee.
In the school committee, I know we get somebody appointed to each PTO, and we call them liaison, I think.
Okay.
It. So it's not technically a subcommittee, it's just somebody to meet with them if need be, but you don't have to write notes.
Right. Well, it's only one person too, so I think starting next meeting, we'll start calling it liaison or something like that. So I think that's all I have. Does anyone have any from their subcommittees, representatives?
Well, the
Kevin?
sculpture committee, we're going in front of the selectmen on the 4th to discuss different locations, and if we can get the okay to go ahead and send out some submission requests for sculptures.
Excellent. All right. We don't want any nudes on our on our
Okay.
fields.
Done.
Great. Tom, anything with schools?
Nope, I think we're all set. The field thing is going to probably go into the spring before any decisions are made. They're still looking for some information, and they were dealing with the gentleman from
Brian?
Irwin.
Okay.
So I think there's a dialogue going on, and I'm just kind of waiting for them to do whatever due diligence they want to do.
If there's anything I can help push along, let me know,
Okay,
please.
yep.
Because we'd like to, if we are going to get some kind of exemption, one-time exemption, springtime over, like April vacation is
Yeah.
that time when they treat for weeds.
We're meeting tomorrow night. I'll see if I can get an update.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so do you want to give them a deadline, like February for April? Or, because you'd have to coordinate with Irwin?
Yeah, February, end of January to the middle of February. That first 2 weeks in February would probably be the best.
Okay.
Okay. Dave, you have a lot.
So today, the committee on the new DPW and recreation facility met today as a group. Me and Brendan both attended, and so the bid's coming up, going out to bid soon, but right now, based on the firm that we hired, their estimate is saying we might be, even though we put the project together to save money in the long run, it looks like, and we put extra money into it, we still might be 6% over budget. So It's just, so we might have to come up with, take contingency plans after the budget comes out. If the bids come in over what we're budgeted for, we might have to have some scale backs. Listening to the guys today, I thought they come up with some stuff that we can cut without affecting the project as a whole. Everything would still, the whole project would still go off as planned, but there would be some stuff that we'd have to cut back. We don't know exactly what everything would be, but there's a breakdown of each thing that we can go after to save up to. It would be, right now, this is based on the projections going out now. Everything's gone up because of, you'd say, the tariffs on steel. So everything in the demand, there's so many projects going on around this area that the prices that have gone on other bids have gone up substantially, some up to 16 to 20%. So hopefully we're not dealing with that number. But, and then they just had a recent bid where it was 1.2 million under what the other bids were. So we don't know where the bids are gonna come in. We're gonna meet in another 3 weeks after we get the bids submitted. And we'll go from there. But our plan is still to go forward even if the bid is, we'd have to cut our number based on where the bids come in. Hopefully.
Yeah, the general contractors those submissions are due next
Week. And
Thursday, I think.
They'll have a pretty good idea where they are
Yeah.
from those numbers. And then the official bids will be, the deadline's the 14th.
Yeah.
And they should know where we stand when we meet on the 18th. So we have a meeting, our next meeting here would be 28th, our next meeting is. So
No, the Monday before Thanksgiving, because we have Veterans Day. We'll talk about, so yeah, the general contractor bids are due next week. The week after is all the subs, the way they require, the state requires the bidding. So all the subs are bid after that, and you take the lowest responsive. As Dave was saying, Middleborough, I think it was 16% over what they had estimated.
Over budget.
But then Yarmouth was 1.2 million under
Yeah.
what they anticipated. So, they're gonna sharpen up these numbers again, talk with the estimator, look at the areas that, they thought we could maybe cut some without affecting, as Dave said, the quality in the overall project. The overall project can happen, but some of these smaller things we might do towards the end when there's contingency left. Putting paving in somewhere that was initially called for outdoors, that was called for
Landscaping.
cement, yeah, and doing landscaping on our own rather than, spending a lot of money to have a landscaper come in.
Fences, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But there is a lot of contingencies built in.
Yep.
Over, above. So when we initially put in for it, it was 31 million. Then when we went to the double plan, it was 32 million. So we went higher initially anyway, and the number is still because of all, the way the demand of everything is right now in the area. But they got 5 solid bidders out there, and good bidders, and they think where Burlington is a very attractive town, that we should, they're hopeful that we get a good bid.
Excellent, yeah.
So,
Comments,
Right.
anyone?
but pray that we get.
So when do we hear? What's the
We'll
date?
hear on the general contractor next week, and then the week after will be all the subs, so, we'll get updates on those, and I will pass them out to everybody, so, yeah, there's 7 pre-qualified general contractors, and 5 of them are really likely to bid, and a couple of them have been, right around the estimated price, in the project, so. I
Okay.
think there was only one that bid on both of those, right?
Yeah.
Bid on both Yarmouth, so. and
But hopefully I think no matter what, we're gonna go forward and we'll just have to cut. But our building, the deep, the rec facility is gonna be built first, so, and then once that's done, they're projecting everything out over a couple of years. This is 3 years.
Yeah, and
So-
the ultimate would be if you had someone that's looking, all right, if we are gonna have a downturn in the economy, I'm gonna bid aggressively here so I can guarantee work for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate, that would be best case scenario for us.
So it's a long project, so that's something that's in our favor.
Yeah, and the prices could change on them, though.
Right, right.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're excited to hear.
Yes.
But these guys have done a great job that we hired. These guys are really awesome. Can't say enough good things about them. They've designed a great facility, and I think everything's going to come out okay. Hopefully, that the bids come in where we want, and we can get this started before the new year. That's the goal.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
That is the goal, to get
The demo,
demo and everything before Christmas. Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, no, it'd be nice to get out of that old building up the hill. All right, Paul? Anyone for Dave before we keep on going? Paul, do you have anything?
No, it doesn't really affect us, but we had one member resigned, long-term member Jack Kelly. So we've just finished going through the process of replacing him tonight. That's why I was a little late. And I'm trying to think of her last name, Brenda. She was on the Board of Appeals previously.
Oh, yeah.
And there was another fellow by the name of Andy Wells Bean, who's newer to town, but he was an excellent candidate also, so those were the two. And all of the selectmen voted for Brenda, and all but one of the planning board members voted for Wells Bean. And so it was a tie, and in the case of a tie, the chairman of the selectmen, voted for her, so she's our new member.
Brenda
So,
Rappaport?
Huh?
Is it Rappaport?
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. She was, as a matter of fact, she reminded me, she said she was like going into fourth generation in Burlington, her family, and they used to live across from us on Paulson Drive many years ago. Yeah. Anyway, that's.
How does that work? They go to
Well, they went to both the town council and the town clerk, and they determined that in order to fill a vacancy, it should be a vote not just of the planning board, but a joint meeting between planning board and selectmen.
I think that's the case with anything,
Could be,
under the bylaws.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a vacancy in an elected board,
yeah,
it's a combined vote with the selectmen and the remaining members of that board.
yeah. Well, I think that's what it was,
Yeah.
and so that's how it came out.
Yeah, fascinating. Good luck.
Thank you, yes.
Okay. New business. We have a proposed expenditure from the revolving account.
yes.
Do you want just to make the motion and then we can discuss it?
Sure. I'd like to request a reserve fund, a revolving account expenditure of $7,000 to purchase a new lightweight aluminum leaf box to be fabricated for the back of our dump truck that will help during leaf and debris cleanup, chipping when we're cutting branches that have come down. So throughout the year, this purchase would come in handy, and we're getting into leaf season, and our wooden one that we built last year, that we replaced the one we built 2 years prior to that, that we built 2 years prior to that. It's a vicious cycle, and this aluminum box would be much more lightweight, easy to lift on and off, and not get tweaked. The wood shifts and bends, and this aluminum
Okay.
one would be great. So,
Does someone want to make that motion as read by Brendan?
So moved.
Okay, by Tom, second by
Second.
Okay, by David. In discussion, which is something we really need.
Yes, I think it's a smart move going forward. The beauty of this system is once we take it off the truck, you can set it on the ground and actually use it to store stuff, like a shed almost. It's not, it's like almost like a slide-in onto the dump truck, then you strap it down, hold it in place when we're using it, and then just unstrap it and take it off, and we could set it on a hot top and, like I said, use it for storage. So I think it would be very beneficial. And like Brendan stated, you know, we're trying to build them out of plywood and wood, and then it's, you know, just taking it on and off every year is tricky because of the twisting and bending of the box itself, and they don't last very long.
Yeah, okay. Will you get to use it right away?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Okay, so why don't we make the motion as presented? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain, so 5-0-0. There's no other new business, right? Old business?
I have two items. The first one is the Human Service Building parking lot is set for the planning board on November 7th. So hopefully we'll get approval and they'll be able to begin working on that. I don't know if they'll wait until the spring or if they'll try to move forward now. But that was continued since, I think, September. They skipped the October one. And then I just wanted to follow up with the Francis Wyman Elementary School work. I don't know if anyone's been out there, but the hillside that we put the erosion blanket on and grass and seeded and graded out, it's growing in nicely. So we might not get to cut it this year, but the grass is growing and establishing in time for winter. So excited about that. The fence was the last piece of business that we had to address there, and we were able to, think Bob had someone come in and fix the fence, Bob Kuna, address the fence. We removed 2 panels, was it 2 8-foot sections? Put a new line post in at the end, and nice and sturdy. Have plenty of room to plow. Snow won't pile up against it, so I think we're pretty close to done there addressing those things. We'll have a nice hillside to cut next year rather than have those nice junipers out there. I was going to say unsightly, but I like junipers. Just not in that condition, in that environment, so.
Paul?
Just, I want to ask this now rather than later, but in the last iteration, as I recall it, of the parking, they had a lot of the traffic was going to go around the back, and you were concerned with that. And as I thought of it, my plan suggestion would be that we put a major speed bump. In other words, I would put a speed bump before our entrance in that area that was just plowable, you know, that was high enough so that if anybody goes too fast, it'll take the muffler out and they won't do it again. But I, in essence, want to stop the traffic without putting a stop sign there. And half, you know, now, people don't bother with stop sign, yellow lights, or anything else. But if you put something to make them stop, I would think that would make it a lot safer there. Just a
Yeah,
thought.
I think there is one-way traffic going around the building now. In the current plan, I believe it's one way, which will help. You know, having 2 ways is difficult back there,
Yeah.
so. But I think it is one way now, and I'm not sure about, you know, like the speed hump, you're looking for that elongated one, right? So they get up on it, and if they come down, if they're going too fast, they're gonna smack their muffler.
Elongate, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever will, because I don't want people going by our entrance at more than like 4 miles an hour or 3 miles an hour, because the kids come running out, the door opens, and, you know, that kind of thing. So that was and you had brought that up also, that safety was a concern as far as you were concerned. And if you can do something to make people be safe, it's better than signs and other stuff.
Well, they also have removable speed bumps. So
Yeah.
you can put them in and then take them out in the winter for plowing and then just. put
Sure,
them back in
okay,
the
yeah,
snow.
well, that would be good, yeah.
That parking
But
lot is-
if that's not in there, I would at least put it in for discussion,
Okay.
for a potential addition.
So before you can ask for it, Brendan, Rich is saying that it would be a lot harder to plow with a speed bump.
It makes it more difficult. I mean, it's not
Sure, yeah,
impossible, but yeah,
that's-
it makes it
yeah.
more difficult.
You plow catches it, or the
Yeah,
tractor
you
probably
just have
would.
to pitch an edge if you're at the wrong angle, or if you go up over it, the snow can drift up, and then you end up with like a clump, that the plow doesn't come down quick enough on the other side. It's not impossible, it can be done, it just makes it a little more difficult.
You would recommend temporary.
I'm a big fan of the temporary idea. but we
Sure,
can look into
I
it.
don't care if it's temporary or permanent.
We just take them out seasonally.
I thought you said you were a fan of spike strips.
I'm not a fan of
Oh.
people that fly around the building, I'll tell you that.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just double check these before next week and see what's in there, and then, you know, if nothing is in there for speed control back there, we can look at temporary speed bumps. Because we can pull them out Thanksgiving time, you know, unless we're getting snow before that,
We
but,
talked about that, though, that.
yeah,
Something going around that corner for sure is gonna be.
just to slow people down.
Yeah.
I will double check the plan to see what's in there. So that we have an idea, but as soon as I find out the time, when we're on the agenda, I'll send that out as well, and anyone that would like to go, we can go and support the project.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's no need for executive session. Before we adjourn, Veterans Day is the date that we'd usually have our next meeting. So is there any reason, should we go with the 25th, or do you need a vote on something before the 25th?
As of right now, I think we're good for the 25th. If something comes up, I can put an email out and we can try to figure out availability if we need another meeting.
Okay.
All right?
So the next meeting being November 25th at 7 o'clock.
If I could just give a shout out, Tuscan Grill gives a free meal to every veteran and a guest, not only from Burlington, but they're from Bedford and everywhere else. It's a regular, everything, the wine, the meal, and.
On what date?
To every
Oh,
veteran.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, to every veteran, yeah. And it's a nice thing for them to do.
Dave, are you a
you
veteran?
go,
I am a
Dave.
veteran.
Yeah.
I do go.
Did you get the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
I've gone a couple of times. It's
Yeah.
good, it's a good meal.
Yeah.
All right.
It's unbelievable, it's free, it's good. A lot of people go to.
That's nice. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, so 5-0-0.